What up, what up, what up? Affiliate Marketing Syndicate. We got a big interview today. So if you guys are jumping in here for the replay, make sure and hashtag replay. If you're jumping in here for the live, make sure and hashtag live. I'm going to repurpose this for YouTube also. So if you jump on here for YouTube, make sure and subscribe to the channel. Make sure and hit the bell so you can get notifications on all my cool interviews, all my cool videos, and drop any questions you have down there for YouTube also, and smash the like button. So we got a JR, man, like you're the big dog in my opinion. So I just want to introduce JR Rivas to everybody, man. He's I've been following you for a while, man. I watch a lot of your videos and stuff like that, man. And it's just very impressive how just well you've done and some of the cool things that you do. So I'm excited to hear your story. So you guys make sure and say what's up when you hop on here. Make sure and hashtag live and welcome, my man. How's it going?
You said you had a big interview today. I was wondering who else you're having on today.
Well, I set up
about me.
I set up Johnny West behind you, man. He said the same thing. I was like, man, you're kind of a big deal around these parts, right?
Cool. Well, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, man, I just want to, for those who don't know you, or for those who do know you or have heard of you, but don't really know like your background, man, if you could give us just like a, how you got into it, where you're from, like, give me the history of JR Rivas.
Yeah. So, like everybody else, I got into digital marketing because of the elusive work from home and, work when you want and all that stuff. And I grew up in a poor neighborhood. High school had like a 40% dropout rate. All this like craziness, single mother household, all that stuff. And I just knew at a young age that I wanted to own a business because I kind of saw that as like the way out. And I didn't want to go to college just because at an early age, I just got really, really good with numbers and running numbers. And I just did the math and I'm like, okay, 4 years times 30,000 in debt. And then I looked up the average amount of money that most people make. And I was like, this just doesn't seem like a good investment. Like even if, and then you have to put your time behind making money and stuff like that. And it wasn't scalable. And I just kind of saw that at a young age. So around 18 years old, I started a tax business. This was my first business, my first real business. I'd like sold candy in school and stuff like that. So I had a tax business and it was brick and mortar. Grew that the first year 60%. Then expanded up to three offices, grew those to 53 employees. And then I ended up selling that. And then I kind of didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. So I started a podcast. And I knew I wanted to do something on the internet. So I started a podcast interviewing internet people and asking them like, what do you do and how do you do it? And it was basically my way of like getting free coaching at the time. And this was kind of before everybody had a podcast. So still like, still kind of relatively new concept. So I had the podcast. I started interviewing people. Eventually I had Dan Henry on my show. And he was like my 11th episode or something. And I kind of talked to him and he's like, yeah, I'm doing these Facebook ads. And I might be making a course, or he's like, I'm working on a course for it. And I was like, cool, that sounds like something I'd want to do or whatever. So I got in on like his beta, and like his course wasn't like anything how it is today. It kind of has come a long way. So I got in on his beta or whatever. And I struggled for like 6 months, but once I got my first client, it scaled very quickly. So then naturally, like people start asking me like, hey, because I'm posting in a bunch of different groups every day, and I'm posting about my results and stuff that I'm struggling with, and I'm posting and helping other people as well. So people start asking me for advice and stuff. So I started doing one-on-ones, and then that started to go well, and I was doing one-on-ones for like $100, and over time that evolved, and every one-on-one I try to raise the price a little bit and see if they'd still sign up. So as long as they'd still sign up, I'd still raise the price. So then eventually I was like, this also isn't scalable, because I'm still trading, time for money. So then I was like, why don't I just take, because it got to a point where people were paying like $500 for a 1 hour session. So I was like, what if I just take this same information and just put it in a course and sell it for, $300 or $400 or whatever. So I started doing that, and naturally that evolved, and I started to think about affiliate marketing because ClickFunnels was starting to get really popular. This was like the end of 2016. And I had just switched over from lead pages to ClickFunnels. And I was like, wow, this is so much better. So they were doing an affiliate contest. It was like, get $20 for every person that you get to buy this like $8 book or whatever. So I make a video and I post it on my Facebook. And at this point, a lot of digital marketers, I wouldn't say a lot. I probably had less than 1,000 friends on Facebook at the time, but a couple hundred digital marketers were following me just because of me adding people from other groups and stuff like that. So I post about this book, and I tell them that the book, one of the chapters in the book is essential for getting client success. And I showed them the page in the video. I probably still have the video. So I ended up selling like 20 something of those books. So they were giving $20 per book. So that was like $400. And then one of those 20 people ended up buying a $1,000 course. So I made like $800 my first month doing affiliate marketing. And I really didn't feel like I did anything. So I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. So then I'm like, I look at this big dream of like having 100 active affiliates and stuff like that. And I was like, that seems
like, hey, I don't mean to cut you off. But like, ooh, got a echo over there. How many people had already won the dream car at that point in time?
There was like 15. Is it echoing really bad?
It was. It seemed like you turned it down some, but
yeah, I could.
I was just curious, like where you were in the mix of that stuff, because obviously I just did you see Spencer Meekum's numbers and stuff?
Yeah, he's a savage.
I just interviewed him before you, but like I was just curious, like where you were in the mix, because his story kind of started similar with the $20 deal. So
yeah, so there was like 15 people that had it. And of the 15, it was like Grant Cardone, Robert Kiyosaki, Todd Brown, like people that were just like way out there for me at the time. So I was like, man, I'll just, I'll try it anyways. And even if I get to like 50 or whatever, that's fine. So I start trying. I can't remember what like was the first things I tried, but I was doing like YouTube videos. I was doing like, I kept emailing. I started building an email list. I started to just give out little lead magnets and then like pound the crap out of them with ClickFunnels offers. And then eventually I started a Facebook group, and the Facebook group started growing, and I started giving people bonuses for signing up for ClickFunnels under my affiliate link. So I made like a free academy or whatever. And that was really what kind of made my ClickFunnels affiliate growth exponential. So then I come up with a few other courses. I ended up doing one on affiliate marketing. I did one for like chiropractors. I did one for real estate agents. I started speaking at different events and stuff like that. I end up getting on TV for digital marketing stuff. And that's really kind of where my career, that's pretty much where we are today. So yeah.
Well, that's a cool story, man. It seems like a lot of the people, obviously, unless you're Grant Cardone, it was interesting because Spencer was telling me a story. I was like, you're the only, 2 Comma Club guy and, dream car winner. So as far as like actually they're going to give him a 2 Comma Club award because he got $1 million in affiliate commissions.
Right.
So, and he was like, no, Grant Cardone has it too. And he was like, but, Russell kind of got that for Grant Cardone because, when he spoke at his 10X
Yeah.
You know, convention, he dropped Grant's link in there when, you know, so that was like, he was like, the bar just went up immediately, you know, the orange bar. So that's pretty cool, man. I think that's a great story. It's always interesting. Now people are starting to get the dream car like crazy. So you're still kind of like an early legend around these parts. So give me kind of like where you're at now with everything. I mean, like, what's your main focus in business? Are you still, you know, do you still make sure and keep up with affiliate marketing? I mean, I've watched a lot of your videos. I actually, when I make my ClickFunnels videos, I kind of go try and check out your stuff, you know, check out your tags and things like that. I've actually, you know, signed up for your free course, and I go through that stuff every now and then, you know, to check it out. So tell me where you're kind of at with business now, and definitely go into this monk experience, because I need to hear about it.
Yeah. So right now my main focus is real estate. To be honest, I noticed that a lot of I'm actually working on a few things that I'll talk about, but I've noticed that a lot of digital marketers, like, we're terrible with money. Like, we're good at making money. And like you'll look at a digital marketer that makes, you know, anywhere from like 10 to 20 grand a month. In digital marketing, that's not like, you know, unattainable, or that's not like crazy. Like, that guy is about average. But if you look at that same income in like any other industry, it's like, whoa. Like, if you like, I mean, because I'm in real estate, I see it now, but someone who's making 10 to 15 grand a month in real estate, it's like that person made it. Like, that person is like ultimate, that's it. But we as digital marketers, we kind of take that for granted. So when we make money and we start making decent money or a 6-figure income or whatever, because we don't think it's such a big deal, we kind of just kind of piss it away, or just like save it. And like all my buddies, like, and I used to be like this too, you look at their PayPal accounts and there's like 30, 50 grand just sitting around in their PayPal accounts, and it's just like, whatever. So digital marketers are good at making money, but are terrible at saving money, keeping money, and investing money. And digital marketers are like the first ones to get wiped out in a bad economy because they never save money. So I kind of saw this, and like you see, like, you hear all the stories about people who were doing great during the Google era, the early Google era, and then they get slapped and instantly they're like bankrupt overnight. It's like, how? If you were literally like throwing up a one-page sales page, running ads to it, and converting like crazy and making a ton of money. So I kind of see this this historical trend, and I was like, I don't want to be like that. So I started to look into what rich people do with the money that they do have, and real estate was one of the answers. So I started getting into real estate investing. I started reading a lot about it, talking to a lot of people, meeting a lot of local investors and stuff like that. So it's kind of where a large, I wouldn't say 100% of my focus, but a large chunk of my focus. Like, as soon as we get off this call, I'm going to see 3 different properties today. So my goal is to kind of right now take the money that I do have, spend it, and make myself broke, so that I now have to hustle to make more money. But I want to, instead of spending it, I'm investing it. And then now I have no money, so I have to go out there and make more money to then spend it, invest it again. So that's kind of where I'm at now. And I kind of learned a lot of that from Grant Cardone. He's like, there's a difference between being poor and broke. He's like, I make myself broke all the time because especially around tax time, he's like, I spend all my money. So then I have to go out there, and he spends it on apartment buildings and stuff. So then I have to go out there and hustle and make more of it. So yeah, that's I'm working on that. I have a mastermind that I'm putting together in Atlanta.
Oh, that's my town. That's my town.
Yeah. I saw it.
I was I had lunch with Ryan Helms the other day, and he was telling me that he had met you down in Buckhead. You know who Ryan is?
I'm not sure.
You met him at a party. You guys had like a little mastermind down in Buckhead one time. He has Hustle to Freedom podcast.
Right. So yeah, so I'm having hosting a mastermind. I actually just put in to get quotes on the venue today.
Nice.
That'll be October I want to say 13th and 14th, like mid-October. Yeah, 13th and 14th is what I'm looking at right now. So I'm looking into having a bunch of influences there. Like I'm trying to get Arnie, Jeff Miller, Andrew Crozy.
Sweet.
So it's gonna be a fun time. So I'm working on that right now. Eventually, hopefully, automate that process so that I can host one mastermind a month in either Tampa or Atlanta or like Orlando area, maybe Miami. There's enough places near me that I don't have to like travel that far.
Where are you located?
I'm in South Georgia. I'm on the border of Florida and Georgia.
Oh, so you're like actually in the same state as me.
Yeah. So I'm
Cool.
really, really close to Tallahassee, Florida.
Oh,
And then the other thing that I'm working on that's kind of exciting right now is, and this isn't like 100% set in stone yet, but I just can't hold it in anymore. I'm working on a brand with another guy, and I won't say who it is, but it's called Entrepreneur Material, and it's a clothing brand for entrepreneurs. And the whole premise of it is like entrepreneur material, as in like clothing material, but it's also material as in like, are you entrepreneur material? So it's all about how I kind of looked at how much time, like how every great entrepreneur has a uniform, right? So they have that go-to, like for Steve Jobs, it was like the turtleneck or whatever. And Mark Zuckerberg always wears like plain clothing and stuff like that. So I was like, I need something that I can wear every day without having to think about what I'm going to wear every day. So that's kind of where the idea was like born out of. Plus also just the message behind it, like actually living and breathing entrepreneurship and being entrepreneur material, versus someone who just pretends that they're an entrepreneur or whatever. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm working on right now.
that's pretty cool, man. I'm excited to see how that comes out.
Yeah, the designs are super awesome. They're like really, really simple, but very like eye-catching at the same time.
Is it going to be like t-shirt stuff or?
Yeah, it's going to be t-shirts, watches, hats. I'm looking into packaging, seeing if I can package together like 3 shirts and like basically an outfit for every situation. So that way, and then sell it as a package. So that way, whatever situation you're going into, like if you're going to a business meeting, you don't have to think about it. You already know what you're gonna be wearing or whatever. And then for daily use as well, like just what you go to every day, just because you're going to work. That way, it removes the clutter of having to think about what you're gonna wear.
That's pretty much how I do it anyways, man. I got like a core of like 6 or 7 t-shirts that I wear like constantly.
Right, exactly.
So that's pretty cool. So you guys make sure if you're hopping on here, #live, say what's going on. Spencer's like, I wouldn't leave a penny in PayPal. My PayPal account, man. He had a little situation, I think, the other day where they almost locked his money down. So he got a little scared.
Yeah, it happens all the time. And they'll do it for like 6 months or whatever.
I just had like $500, like some affiliate commission that was put in there. And then yesterday I go to like move it over to my bank and they were like, we're going to hold this for like I'm hoping it's just like a day. I mean, I hope it's not like some crazy, I'm not moving tons of money through there. So I would think it'd be a little ridiculous to do that, but so you guys make sure, smash the heart button. We want everybody to see this and jump in. We want as many people to be able to see JR's stuff, man, and connect with him. So tell us about this. Is it a Buddhist monk experience? It's like at first when I kind of read over it, I thought you were going to tell me you were over like in China or something, but it was in California.
Yeah, they're Vietnamese. They're originally from they're Vietnamese, but their original monastery is in France, and then like their second original one is in Thailand. But yeah, so basically I just started doing some research one night, and I just knew that like that consumerism and constantly like wanting stuff just wasn't the path to fulfillment. So I started doing some research, and I find that this musical artist Mike Posner, you might have heard of him. He wrote "I Took a Pill in Ibiza," "Cooler Than Me," and a bunch of other hit songs that were like mega hits. Like I think he was nominated for a Grammy or something. So, anyways, um, I watched an interview with him on Impact Theory with Tom Bilyeu, and it's a phenomenal show, by the way, if anyone hasn't checked it out. And he's talking about like his goals and stuff, and he's saying like he went to stay at this monastery, but it was like in solitude for 7 days, just him by himself in the woods, in a little cabin. So he says that the first thing that happened when he tried to meditate was his mind started to create goals for him to do. So he was like, you know, he's starting to meditate, and his mind's like, hey Mike, you got to go run up and down the hill 3 times for exercise. Or like, hey Mike, you got to go organize the spices in alphabetical order. So he came to the conclusion that a lot of his goals weren't really his goals. They were just created by his mind to fill time, because to make him feel productive, because he was afraid of being alone in a room. So I kind of started to think about that, and I was like, how many of the things that I want or want are just kind of made up to fill time, or to make me feel productive, or to make me feel like
Well,
a
because
good
you're
human.
bored.
Right, right. Or to make me feel like important or significant or whatever. So I start to I try to go to the same place that he went. He went to this one in Colorado, but it was booked to like 2019 or something. So then I searched on monasteries near me, and I was in Vegas at the time. So I found Deer Park Monastery in California, outside of San Diego. So this was literally like on a Sunday night, and their next retreat, they do them every week, was Friday. So I signed up on the spot.
You were just
And
like you went right into it, huh?
yeah, I didn't even do much research. I really didn't want I really didn't want that much information. I just wanted to kind of be surprised. So I get there, and there's real monks. Like, they're wearing brown robes, they're bald, and they're Asian. Like, exactly what I would have hoped for.
Like it was the real experience.
Yeah. So like, you know, like you go to a karate class, and like the instructor's like this old white guy or whatever. You're just like, man, I was expecting like Mr. Miyagi or whatever. So I was hoping it wouldn't be like that. So this was super authentic. So I get there, and the first thing we do is pretty much meditate. And they kind of taught us a little bit about how to do it properly. And I turned my phone off the entire week, all
I was about
technology.
to ask you about that, man. Were they like, hey, get rid of that stuff for now? Or
In the email that they send you to prep, it's like it tells you like not to have technology or whatever, like at least out. But you can have it like in your room and stuff. I mean, they're not that strict about it. But I just decided to just completely like turn it off all week, which was like the first time I'd ever done this. So yeah, they teach us how to meditate. And the first night, I just start having these crazy ass dreams, like super vivid. And I was super exhausted, because like I'd taken like a super early flight and stuff, so I was napping in between the stuff that they had us do. And every time I'd go to sleep, I had like these crazy wild vivid dreams. But the dreams had like context of the past. So like I'd be wearing like something that I had like 10 years ago or whatever. So I started to ask the monks about that, and they're like, oh, it's because that's like the most common thing up here, because your mind has so much more space that like things tend to like get pushed up. And I was getting like crazy like old memories and stuff like that. So basically what this brought to me was I just realized what was important, what mattered, what real happiness was made of, and I just kind of got rid of everything else. So after that, I started to like declutter my life, and I just kind of got rid of a bunch of stuff. I started to spend less time on social media. I started to just be more mindful and paying attention to what I do every day. I decluttered like my influences. I meaning like I won't even like I've never been like the type to watch scary movies or anything like that. But like I won't even watch a commercial anymore because I know like what is the messaging of commercials. It's like you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you need to buy this to be good enough or whatever. So I stopped paying attention to a lot of stuff and started meditating a lot really often, almost every day. And it's just kind of brought me more like closer to like what I actually want, what I actually want, not like what I thought I wanted because of like what everybody else around me wanted or what everybody else around me had or whatever. So yeah, it was just a really, really good experience that I think everybody should get at some point because in today's world, like you're constantly being assaulted by influences every day. If you wake up and the first thing you do is check your phone, like you've already fucked up your whole day. Like seriously. Because
That's the truth, man.
yeah,
But
no,
like I do it, man. That's the sad thing.
right. Like if you don't spend any time alone, how do you even know like who you really are? Because you're constantly just accepting influences from the outside world and from social media and your friends and your family and all this stuff. Um, but when you take time every day to like sit in silence and just be quiet in a room, um, and not accept any influences, that's when like the real you kind of starts to come up more and more often. And then you start to realize like a bunch of the stuff that you thought you cared about or that you thought was important to you really wasn't or really just didn't matter. So it kind of declutters your life and you learn how to be happier without stuff, but with less as well. So I got rid of like, I mean, I'm probably gonna sell my car, which everybody's mad at me for. But I mean, I just realized I don't need two cars, and
Yeah.
I'm getting rid of a lot of the stuff that I like. I used to be like that person that every single day, one or two Amazon boxes shows up at my house, Amazon Prime like top member or whatever. And I just kind of stopped because I realized that me just wanting to buy stuff all the time, it was just to bridge the gap of insecurity that's no longer there. So I don't need to buy like worthless shit anymore.
Did
So
you meditate prior to go into that, or I mean, had you?
I did Headspace here and there, but like nothing against Headspace. I think it's great, especially to get started. But I feel like you really need to learn how to do it without Headspace or any kind of guide or anything like that.
Did they? Gosh, because I had done, I forgot what the same one that Tim Ferriss does, where it's like 20 minutes twice a day, and I had done that, and they give you like a kind of a mantra. I didn't know if they did that, and did you feel like when they actually taught you the best way to do it, that like by the end of the week you felt like you were more there, present, and like your thoughts weren't running as much?
Yeah, pretty much it was weird. Like the first time, and they do it in 45-minute chunks, twice a day, and then we do different kinds of meditations, like walking meditation and stuff like that. But the actual sitting meditation was 45 minutes a day, twice a day. And once they taught me how to actually do it, it really wasn't hard because I feel like the reason most people are like, oh, I can't meditate is because you're putting all this pressure on yourself to like think about nothing or whatever. And it's totally like not about that. Like if you're meditating, it's totally okay if your mind drifts. You just have to, when you notice it, you just drift it back to what you're doing. It's not a negative thing that happens. So the more that you kind of become just okay with your mind drifting and not being like, oh shit, I'm thinking about, cats and stuff, and I should be thinking about my breath. The more you just get okay with that, the easier it becomes, and the more you can then just naturally get into like focusing. But the monks told me that it even happens to them, that their thoughts wander and stuff like that. It happens less, but it still happens.
Well, that's really cool, man. I mean, that's something I've, I wouldn't say played around with, but I mean, I guess it kind of is off and on. It's because I've had a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety in my life and things like that have gone on. And I've had some pretty terrible experiences at times also, but it definitely makes a big difference when I'm practicing it regularly. I haven't been as much lately, so this interview might have been just the thing I needed to, kind of go back there and start working on that stuff. So I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
and just to touch on that, one of the things that the monks taught me is that anxiety lives in worrying about the future, and depression lives in worrying about the past or thinking about the past. So they just kind of teach you to worry about here and now. And once you become like a master of worrying about the present moment and living in the present moment, there's just no pain or anxiety that lives in the present moment. Because if you're constantly worried about here and now, like right now, if you're worried about here and now, you're like, I'm on this interview and 13 people are watching. That's phenomenal. I'm not hungry right now. Like I have a roof over my head and it's not leaking. So if someone, like, for example, if someone's constantly worried about losing their job or losing their business or whatever, that event might only happen in one day, but you might spend years in anxiety about that. So it's just kind of taught me to just focus around here and now, and there's just no room, there's no space for depression or anxiety in the present moment.
Yeah, that's the truth, man. Shoot, man, I didn't realize this was going to turn into such a such an experience like that. But that's really cool, man. I appreciate that. I'm sure everyone else does too, man. You guys make sure and hashtag live, hashtag replay. Obviously, I appreciate everybody jumping on. Spencer's like, you need to just go with the Forerunner because that's his dream car. So.
Dude, I almost traded my car in for a Prius the other day, because the monks also, another thing that inspired me is they're so like self-reliant. Like they recycle everything. All the food that gets thrown away turns into compost, and their whole facility is run on solar panels. So they're not wasteful at all. And I was like, man, I don't even recycle. Like the least I could do is like recycle and drive a car that's a little bit better for the environment. Plus, just the fact that I don't feel insecure anymore is kind of like, well, why do I need a red Corvette?
Well, man, it's just kind of the way society like puts that on us, man. We all think about it at times. I realize, it's off and on for me at the same time. Like I drive like a Jeep Cherokee, Grand Cherokee, and I'm like, well, I need to have 22-inch rims on it, all blacked out, make it look cool. But at the end of the day, it's just like, I don't know who I'm trying to impress.
Right. There's a parable that they taught me there. Because I was kind of telling him about my car and stuff. And I was telling him, like, dude, my car brings me so much anxiety because I'm constantly worried about like where I'm gonna park it, who's driving next to me. I'm super scared someone's gonna like bump it or whatever. And it's a Corvette. So once it gets in even a minor accident, no one ever wants to buy it because it's a Corvette. So or at least no one ever wants to buy it at like anywhere near like a fair price. So I was constantly in anxiety about like, and every time I drive it, about like who's next to me on the road or whatever, who's nearby, or like I can't drive next to the guy with the $1,000 car because he probably has crappy insurance, and if something happens, like I'm screwed or whatever. So there's a parable that they taught me, and it's like about Buddha was walking one day with like his followers or whatever, and this guy comes up to him and he's like, hey, I lost my cows. Have you guys seen my cows? Like I love them so much, and like have you seen my cows? Like I'm desperate to find them. And Buddha's like, no, sorry, but maybe check that way. So the guy runs off, and then Buddha turns to his followers or whatever, and he's like, be grateful you have no cows to lose. Basically saying like the more like stuff you accumulate that you're super attached to, the more anxiety and the more responsibilities you've now brought into your life, which is the cause of unhappiness. So that's kind of just how I feel about that. If you're driving a Mercedes or whatever, I don't care. Like I'm not going to judge you, or I'm not going to tell you to get rid of it or whatever. Just as long as it brings value to your life and not anxiety.
No, I completely understand. I've been, that's why I asked, I'm thinking to myself, it's time to go tiny. A tiny house. I'm like, I bought this like 3,000 square foot house, to like come over. And it's because of the area I live in, like because my kids live over here with their mother and I want to spend more time with them. And I'm thinking, oh, we'll deck this place out. It'll be so cool. And now I'm just in a big house that they still spend most of their time at their mom's anyways. So, and I'm like, well, what am I doing here? This place is falling apart. I don't want to have to fix it and spend all my money on it. And I'm like, I should have just found a nice little small tiny house and just live that way. So
one of our it's funny that you mentioned tiny house, because one of the things that we're looking at now is creating tiny houses for low income families, low income people, mainly like single people, older people that are on Social Security or whatever, disability, and having like not the traditional tiny house that most people are probably thinking about. Like think those, but think maybe like 10 of them attached to each other in a row or whatever. So that's one of the projects that we're trying to do right now in real estate. Is just that movement is so huge, because it's like people are kind of starting to kind of get it and understand like you don't need a lot to be happy. And if you're unhappy with a little, you'll be unhappy with a lot. So that's one of the other exciting things that we have in the works right now.
No, that's really cool, man. But I don't know how it is in most places. I mean, you see the movement becoming really huge, but Georgia seems to be a little bit behind on the movement, with all the zonings and the different things they come to do real estate, at least up here in Atlanta. I don't know how it is where you're at. I know it's still like, if I wanted to go, have a tiny house built and put it somewhere, they make it very difficult around these parts to do that at this point still.
Yeah. That's actually the area that we're looking into. It's a little bit different because it's lower income housing, and lower income housing is more like protected, I guess you can say, by the federal government. So we're kind of looking in that area, and the main barrier is not like building a tiny house for low income. It's more about like certain laws were written that establish how many people are allowed to inhabit a certain amount of space. But these laws were written like 40 years ago, before anyone ever thought that there'd be a thing such as a tiny house. So we're like working through it. And I guess I've started to branch out. I still love digital marketing, and I think I'll always be in digital marketing, but I started to like kind of just branch out into like my other interests and stuff like that. But it's all thanks to like affiliate marketing and digital marketing and running my agency and stuff like that.
Well, cool, man. Well, I don't want to keep everybody on here, man, and keep you. I know you got appointments and stuff like that. So, kind of let everybody know how they can, they can follow you, how they can, get some of your content and be involved with some of your stuff, man, because, whether you're moving on to some other things or not, man, your digital content's it's phenomenal. And you're definitely somebody who everyone in my group and my following should be following. So you guys need to check his stuff out. So let everybody know kind of how they can either join your group or jump on some of your content.
So my Facebook group is digitalmarketinghacks.org. That's a redirect right into the group. And then if you go to jrrivas.com/social, It's like a little social card that has all my social media, my LinkedIn, my YouTube. I think my Twitter's on there, my Instagram, all that stuff. So keeping it simple. I think my Facebook group might be even be on there as well.
You're not using what is it, Clixo for Ryan Stewman stuff? Isn't that the little like business card, digital business card company that he has? Clixo.
I think I've seen him post about that. I think, but I just never checked it out. Actually, I found the one that I use because I went to I saw Grant Cardone was using it one day, and I was like, what's this? So I looked it up, and I think it's free too. I'm pretty sure it's free. So yeah, I just started using that.
Nathan, we're not Dogs fans here, buddy. I'm an Auburn Tiger, so we don't do dogs around here, and it's DOG, not DAWG.
I don't really watch sports that much. When they're on it, I like enjoy the crap out of them. But I remember last year, I think that the Dogs lost to Alabama or something. And that was a big deal around here.
Oh yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like we beat Alabama and Georgia at the end of the season, and then we ended up losing to Georgia in the SEC championship. I don't, like when it comes to my team, Auburn, I pay attention to college football and then college basketball a little bit too because I love basketball. That's my sport. My son's really pretty good at it. So, but overall, I just try and keep my focus here. And obviously I need to get back to doing some meditation, man. You brought my headspace back there. So, well, I appreciate it, man. Seriously. I mean, this is a great interview, man. And I appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy, and I honestly look forward to you coming up here. Keep me posted on your event here in Atlanta because I would definitely love to connect with you, man.
Yeah. And I think we're going to open it up to affiliates, and I think I might be doing like 50% commissions. So,
Gotta love that. Cool. Well, awesome. Well, you guys, I appreciate everyone for being on. You guys make sure and smash the heart button if you jump on here for the replay, #replay. We're about to be done with the hashtag live. So everybody say #thank you to JR, man, for, gracing us with his presence. And you guys make sure and keep taking action, keep being consistent, and never give up. And you guys have an awesome day. Say peace out.
Peace.